All right, welcome back for the episode of Carnivore Trades. Today is Tuesday, May 30th, 2023. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts and analysis. Anyways, let's get into it today. So, at the end of the day, basically a flat session, right? So spiders here up just 16 cents. Same story. Triple Q's up 1.58, or I should say $1.58, up 45 basis points, and then the Dow down just 11 basis points, and the Russell bringing up the rear here, down 37. So same story as usual. Handful of stocks doing a lot of work here. Nvidia up another 3%. They're just giving percentage points away to Nvidia at this point here, but some of these names anyway. I figured they would let them hit that $1 trillion market cap when you get really close to that, especially when it's a whole round number. They got to 394.80 the other day, and you're very close to a 400 whole round number. You're close to the $1 trillion market cap. Usually the market's going to want to go up there and test that and at least make that headline. You can see we came pretty nicely off the highs here with some volume, so definitely, definitely overbought and extended, needless to say here. So definitely some profit taking. Take a look at this other semiconductor here, Broadcom. They report later this week here. This is a over 10% move since the high at 10 a.m. So lots of selling going on there. This looks like it's put in a major high. Look at this. So you took out the all-time high there, and what a run here, 600 to 9, well over 900 today, and then from 921.78 down to a close at 803.34. So with heavy volume, so major distribution going on there. And if we look at the SMH itself, that did finish up 71 cents, but came way off the highs. AMD closed red, so a little bit of a gap and crap there. Some of these names, we can't be surprised though. Look at how extended. You look at the triple Qs here. And again, it's the same story, right? Triple Q's ripping, QQQ equal weight. Looks like it just made a new 52-week high, but no 52-week closing high. And another really big eye-opener here too, is the composite advanced decline. This has been trending down since February, and the Qs have been trending up since mid-March, as we know. So again, breadth getting worse and worse. How much longer can they keep this going? It's really anybody's guess. I would assume it's probably related to the debt ceiling. As soon as that gets done, I would think that we could probably see some type of corrective move here. But right now, markets are continuing with that theme. Big tech up. Apple had a decent day, up 1%. Again, this trend line's still being respected pretty nicely. You do have a pretty good little tail there too. And I did see a lot of, if we look at the Qs here, that was a nice uptick in volume. This morning there was lots of volume in it at that high, so we opened up at that high, and then we had a lot of a little distribution there. So again, it does look like some profits being taken. Another thing too is the VXN, basically the VIX for the Nasdaq, that put in a low on the 17th of May, and it's been trending up and actually made a new high today. So that's pushing up here. You're seeing a little bit of protection being bought. There's the candle from the 17th. So some protection being bought underneath that just out of control bid here. And the Nasdaq's it's bidding up on nothing, right? It's yes, AI, but okay, AI, what about AI, right? There's no, it's not like, oh, AI did this or some company did this today or this came out. It's just up for free. So when you're seeing that, it does look like some panic buying coming into play here. Way overbought. We're now actually weekly RSI got above 70 there. So, and the last time we got up there was in November of 2021. So huge move there for the Nasdaq. If we look at the daily, again, slight higher high on the RSI, really overbought and extended. But hey, you got to hand it to them. Even if it's only 10 or 12 stocks doing the work, that's just the way that the market is weighted. And again, still we did hit that 618 as well. We talked about that on Friday. And there it is. And we actually pierced it a little bit today, but closed basically right on that and right with that 350 psychological level, going into some resistance too. So we'll see how much longer they can keep this show on the road. So, but again, to me, it's all about that debt ceiling. They are, I believe, meeting right now to talk about a possible vote that may take place tomorrow. What's my guess is right now it looks like they don't have enough votes, so you could see some volatility off that. Ultimately, they will pass it, of course. It's just a matter of how much whipsaw, let's say it doesn't pass tomorrow, we go down and test this trend line, maybe we could test in 20 again. Lately, Thursday, Fridays have been rippers, so maybe maybe we're down tomorrow and then we're back up Thursday, Friday, then they pass it over the weekend. Certainly possible we could see something of that nature. Overall, we did finally fill the gap on the SPY. So 422.14, that's finally filled. And we did, we backed off it. It also coincided with this upsloping trend line, this rising wedge here. So again, that's a level, that's a pattern I'm definitely watching very closely here. And range is getting tight. I still have the SPY, basically, I have a target there for 425, which takes you right about there. It's not that far away. I mean, it's a stone's throw away. We could get there off of a debt ceiling deal, a gap up, something of that nature. So nothing to say that can't happen. I just think this market's really overbought. You couldn't convince me to go long in this environment because we didn't build any supports, right? Especially in the Qs, and I'm talking about the Qs a lot, but this is the show right now, right? There's no supports being built on the way up. And that's why it gets dangerous when you get a big short squeeze like this. There's nothing stopping it from coming down just as quickly as it went up. So you got to be careful in this environment. You're just not going to convince me to buy something that's up over 10% in a couple of weeks, let alone a whole index. It's one thing for a mid-cap biotech stock to be up like that. SMCI, that's a huge, it's one of the big AI names right now, obviously. This is not a big company. It's another thing for NVIDIA to be going from, a $700 billion company to a $1 trillion company in 3 trading days, right? There's just to risk reward here to me is just very skewed, but you got to respect the market right now. So we'll continue to do that here, but definitely seeing a little bit of distribution. I mean, take a look at that chart on Avgo, Broadcom there. They do report. A lot of the time when you get these big, that is a massive tail, but a lot of the time when you get these moves, you can get kind of a retrace. So we'll see what they do on earnings. I'm sure they're gonna crush it. I know they have a pretty good CEO, so he really likes that company. But just amazing moves here, and be careful in this environment. Anyways, Dow here down 11 basis points, still inside of Friday's move. Nothing terrible there, but still below that point of control at 331.45. The Russell 2000 here still on the softer side. Again, story's the same. That remains the weakest. What can you say? Weekly, daily, monthly patterns are not good. All right, semiconductors we already touched on, up 0.5%, but they did come way off the highs. I'm seeing a lot of volume come in here, so maybe some distribution and profit taking. And look at where we are too. By the way, we tested that red bar high. Let's put that in there right now. So 150.90, and I think that got hit today. Yeah, it did get hit today. And we came back in off of that. So, that's where you broke down, right before the real sell-off. This was your low here. This is your kind of, never took that high out, but then we had that failed bull flag, which we shorted. And then we had an amazing run to the downside there. But kind of getting into this area. So anybody who bought up in this range here is going to turn into a seller. And yes, there are people still holding it. That's how it works. So don't think that there won't be sellers up here, despite the amazing run that it's had. But semiconductors, up 0.5%, but coming off the highs. Cloud software was up as well. That also came off the highs. Still up 75 basis points into that 330 handle. And you did gap above the 100 MA, but again, going into a lot of resistance there as well. But cloud hanging in there. Let's look at Oracle. That's been a market leader. Yeah, having a decent day there, but still inside of that little kind of topping candle from Friday. All right, Dow Transport's here, nothing special. So they were green. And, just kind of stuck in, right into the convergence of all these moving averages. We touched that trend line one more time and then backed off of that. We'll see how that does over the next couple of days. We'll see if we can push up. It's got a chance here. It's not in the worst shape, but I don't like this weekly setup here. And, as you guys know, I say this every single day. I don't like how you're making lower highs in the transports. That tells me the economy is not doing well. And, that's obviously a big divergence here. Anyways, over to interest rates. So the 2-year here got a nice little pop. So ZT up 25 basis points. The 2-year yield on the futures finished at 4.48%. The actual 2-year yield right now is 4.46 even. So not a huge discrepancy, but we did back off a little bit on interest rates here. Here's the 10-year. That backed off down to 3.7 exactly. Still nothing terrible, though. We had a big move, and just some consolidation here. We'll take this higher. So nothing really wrong there right now with yields. 30-year down 1.66. Again, nothing terrible. We went up into this resistance zone. For the third time, 1, 2, 3, you put in a higher low. I don't think that's going to hold one more time. So we'll watch that, but yields holding up really well here. HYG not holding up very well at all. Anyways, let's get over to housing. So XHB up 20 basis points, still below the 20 moving average. As long as that remains the case, we still got a downside bias to 68 on this. Same thing with ITB, still inside of that red bar from last week, and we'll look at 72 to 71.50 for that. VNQ just cannot really get anything going, up just 30 cents today, and close below that red bar. So another inside bar here. The only kind of positive here is that you're so beaten down. If this could somehow play catch up, it could be a laggard bull, but I don't really see anything good here outside of that, below all the moving averages, and really just been a soft equity for a very long time. XLF here, down just 1 cent, still below all 4 moving averages. Still not a good weekly chart here, but it's holding up for right now, and we'll leave it at that. KRE, not terrible consolidation. This is starting to firm up a little bit on the daily, so this could get one more pop to 44.45. That's really all I see right now, and that's assuming that even happens. That's just daily chart levels there. The weekly is still not very good, although you do have a nice bounce that you're playing off of there on the lows. But again, it's looking a little bit better there on the daily. Broker dealers here hammering on that 450 level one more time, and then that came in pretty sharp. That had a nice pump in the morning, and then came pretty sharply off the highs here, but nothing really terrible. Again, this could still be choppy consolidation, maybe for a move to 460, but we'll watch here over the next couple of weeks. Crude got hammered here. So crude down 4% on the day, and it's flirting with that 70 level again, and it's really hanging on here, right? So we got down there, we back tested it, but we really should have made a better higher high. I think we should have gotten to 76 at least to show some more strength here, but this was down 3.5% 2 trading sessions ago, and it was back up, and now it's down 4% today. So bear's getting some momentum here in crude, and not a really good sign with volume too, and not a really good sign to see that hammer on that 70 level again with a lower low. If this flags here sideways, this can be shorted, so we'll watch that. But I do not like that pattern, right? We talked about that before. Just to clear up the lines, if we just exclude the tail, you could make a case that you've got kind of a bear flag there, right? So kind of like that. Possible little break there. We'll watch. 68's got to hold if we can't, recover 70. So, and then that low pivot's got to hold. Otherwise, it's going down. But yeah, crude. And then XLE here, off the lows here, but this trend line's done, right? It's broken down here. You basically back tested it last week. You got through it, closed back below it, finished off the lows this week, but nothing great there. This has got to go into corrective mode, probably down into this island here. I think there's a lot of support in this area, but right now nothing great there for XLE. XOP again finished off the lows as well, but back below the moving averages. You almost kind of have a trend line here as well, kind of like right there. So we'll watch that. It came off the lows here, but again, I just don't like the pattern. I think this has got to go lower. Same thing with OIH here. You got kind of a descending triangle there. And again, I think that will break eventually. Nat gas backed off as well, although it did finish off the lows here. Again, still kind of a sloppy pattern here on the daily. And you have higher lows here, possible rounded bottom. So we'll continue to watch this moving forward, but that did get hit with the rest of energy today. All right, over to the dollar index. All right, so dollar index chart here, nothing wrong. So I like this move here, big move here, thrust through resistance. We closed above that, 1-2 pullback, and then a nice pop, and now we're just consolidating sideways. So there is a lot of resistance right here on the DXY, but if it just goes sideways, maybe retrace to the 20 MA, or let the 20 MA catch up. This will have legs to 106, and then that's your next really big level there, and that pivot high as well. Just below 106, but then you've got that kind of bigger area right here, all that chop right there before you broke down. So, and then the 200 moving average as well. But if it consolidates enough, it's going to have enough gas to get through that. But right now, I don't really see any problems here with the dollar. I don't see any problems with yields either. You're pulling back a little bit here, and this is something that the market's not really paying attention to, doesn't care about right now. Look at the inverted yield curves, but these divergences can remain in place for a while. So the market will care when it cares, and it's doing the proverbial climbing the wall of worry essentially right now. Anyways, over to gold here. So that got a little bit more of a bounce here, up 0.75%. Nice volume there too. So held that 100 moving average, nothing bad. Again, with this weekly, still okay. Like, I don't have any problems with it. Big green bar, a little bit of kind of a rolling top, which is not great. I don't like that, but you're holding the 20-week moving average, and as long as you're doing that, this is just fine for right now. What I wouldn't want is like sideways action on that 20 MA. I want to see a good pop and kind of a V shape there off of that. But for right now, gold getting a little bit of a bid, and it's holding support. Silver still on the weaker side. So more of kind of like an inside hammer here to Friday's move. We did have good volume behind it, and was red for the day here, but maybe if this can flag, you can get kind of like an ABC up, maybe to 24.50. But that's really all I see at the moment for silver. But again, it did come off the lows. Platinum a little bit on the weaker side here. Not doing anything with this right now, but I'm looking at it on the bigger time frame. And then the same thing with palladium. Not doing anything just yet, but I am very interested here in a possible long in PA, and then copper here down 0.5% here. And again, these commodities really, copper, crude, they seem to be telling us that we're headed for a recession here, and that's what the data is starting to show as well. But copper hanging in there, tested 370, 371, and it backed off of that again. Maybe that can get an ABC up here, but I don't like the pattern all too much on that either. All right, lastly, let's go quickly to Bitcoin here. So Bitcoin's nothing really to update here. We did get a pop over the weekend, and then we backed off yesterday. And today we're just kind of sitting here. Still haven't negated the head and shoulder. So that is still in play. We never really negated that, and we're below the 50 MA. But the weekly is still fine. In fact, that candle is not bad at all. So up move and kind of rolling back over. Almost kind of looks just like gold, right? Let's pull up our gold chart here. So kind of up and then kind of a rolling high with the 20-week moving average. So it definitely seems to be somewhat positively correlated right now with gold. But again, as long as it's holding that 20-week moving average, I don't really have any issues with it. On the bear side, you don't want to see this close above that 50 moving average. That's going to kind of negate that head and shoulder pattern here. But right now, I'm still kind of neutral on it, and we'll see what it does moving forward here. Anyways, just back over to the spiders here. Again, I wouldn't rule out a move to 425. I think there's very good resistance up there on the SPY. The triple Qs are already into resistance, but right now, it doesn't matter, right? Like, advanced decline is terrible. Equal weight is terrible, but and as long as Nvidia is up, as long as Apple is up, there's the equal weight S&P. That's still negative for the year. Then they can keep this market higher. So we'll have to see what we get here with the debt ceiling. I think it's likely to be a sell news, especially if we're up into it. But again, it's political theater, and who knows if they even have the votes to pass it tomorrow. We may have to wait a little bit longer there. Anyways, guys, gonna wrap it up here. You guys take care. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com. I will talk to you guys all tomorrow.